Hello, fellow educators. My name's Heath Annette. I'm a middle school, high school teacher, um, and K through 12 curriculum coordinator at Three Rivers Christian School in Longview, Washington. Steve asked me here today to share a little bit of our process of mapping that we've been going through and also the development of creating understanding by design, as we call them, UBD units over the last few years. A little bit about myself. When I originally went to school to become a theologian or Bible professor, and that didn't work out the way that I had intended it to. God had other plans. So I went into a long career of 5 years of changing tires at Les Schwab before I landed at Three Rivers Christian School. When I came to education, I came kind of a different track than most educators. I came with no educational experience really other than being a student. I had no education degree. I had never done student teaching. I kind of just came out of nowhere and got dumped in head first into teaching, which was a little overwhelming at first. But as I started teaching, I noticed some things in my first year. Um, I would ask a lot of questions from other colleagues, like, "Hey, why do we do things this way?" Or "Is there a quicker or better way we can do this?" Or "The kids don't seem to be getting this. Is there another way to do it?" And I came at things a little differently than, like I said, most educators do. Over the last couple of years, I have went back to school and ended up getting a master's in teaching and mainly elementary education, but with some high school emphasis. So, yeah, I want to share a little bit with you our process for the last 3 years. Um, you've either heard before or you will hear after this. Erin Hart, my administrator and superintendent, she shared with you our schooling by design plan and how she uses schooling by design to plan things for the trajectory of the school. And that ties in closely with what we do in the classrooms at Three Rivers. About 3 years ago, with the help of Steve Butler, we started implementing a program called Understanding by Design, which I'm assuming you guys are aware with since you're working with Steve. And it was kind of a way to design things backwards, as it's called backwards design. And it was a new way for teachers to kind of hone in on the most important things they want students to learn. Um, so without kind of going through that process a little more, I kind of want to show you what we've done with it. We created a template for all teachers to use, K through 12, on how to design UBD units. And I'm going to share that bare template with you on the screen right now, just so you can see it. This is it, and I apologize my screen is so small. My bigger computer wasn't working, and I'm working at home this summer, and I live in a 38-foot trailer as of a month ago. So bear with this if it's not up to the technological um, quality it should be. But this is our unit, and as you can see, as Aaron Hart will talk about or has talked about, this is where we put kind of the stuff that she talked about schooling by design. Here's our portraits of a graduate, our graduate outcomes. Here's where our transfer goals go. These are essential questions and understandings that each unit will be addressing, and then things the students will know and learn. And these established goals over here are where we would stick state standards, or if your school has some other form of standards they follow. Um, that's all part of stage one, your desired results. In stage two, this is where we put our performance tasks, the things that we want students to be able to do with their knowledge at the end of a unit. In math, this could be quiz or real life task. In English, it's I can show you a couple examples here in a second of kind of some English and social studies and even some science performance tasks. But these are the big summative assessments that they can be objective tests and quizzes, but normally there's something a little more, something that shows the students applying knowledge to a new scenario. Other evidence, these are the normal formative and assessments that you would have during a unit. Valued criteria, this is your types of rubrics and the things you're looking for. And your learning plan, this is your typical day-by-day lesson plans where we use an acronym where to. I won't go through what that means right now. You can ask Stephen Butler and he can help you. It's actually where to. According to Jay McTighe, but we added F in front for a faith element. And like I said, if you have any questions on that, I'm sure Stephen can help you with that. And pardon the train that's going by our house right now. So anyways, that's kind of what every teacher starts with. I'll real quick show you a unit that I did early. Actually, it's the last unit I did this year. I've been working on this for a couple of years. As you can see, here's my name, the class, the unit. The big idea, this is what we're focusing on. It's the adventure inside all of us. This is, and we're reading Treasure Island, quintessential adventure novel. This is what we're going to be discussing. So as you can see, the goals we're working on for our graduate outcomes is discerning thinkers, capable communicators, perseverant. We're not focusing so much on servant leadership or relational things here. It's okay to do that when you do a unit. As you can see, I've put in some Common Core standards over here that kind of go along with the unit. And this is where the real meat of the unit starts happening here. We've worked really hard over the last couple of years to create kind of our own philosophy statements, which are school-wide transfer goals. So we have transfer goals, and I'll go over to that document for you real quick so you can see it. Here's an example. So for example, here's the social studies. These are things that social studies K through 12 works on, just big overarching transfer goals for all social studies in TRCS. And the same for math, social studies, Bible, English, you name it. We have these big overarching transfer goals. So going back to this unit, once we put those down, these are the things that we're trying to get the students to know at the end, the things that they can transfer. We really work a lot with these essential questions. So for example, I ask several essential questions to my students throughout the unit. What are people drawn to? Why are people drawn to adventure? What makes a journey an adventure? How does conflict shape and determine one's actions? When does a situation require perseverance? What is true treasure? Why are people drawn to treasure? What makes something worth doing? And then I have attached essential understandings or understandings, enduring understandings, I think is the correct terminology, tied to these essential questions. Here we have the things the students can do. These were your typical things that you're trying to get students in English class to do. And then here's my performance task. We do a little thing about a day in Jim's shoes. And here's the question. We don't have time to really go over these. And then I also, in these units, I input the rubric as well. So this one, I actually do a big performance task all quarter long. In 5 sections, they write their own adventure story, answering different essential questions each time. But I have a rubric linked to it. This is important in the future. So here's a big, I guess you could say, holistic rubric we do for this unit. So each section I have an exceeds expectations, meets, the developing learner does not meet, with all the information on here for the students. Here's kind of an example of our analytical rubrics we use. Is something like this one here. This is a generic writing rubric I use. This one's actually coded in a way that I use it in Google Docs, so it's not as pretty as the copy I give to the students, but you can see all these different criteria we try to focus on. Yeah, if you didn't know how to do that, that's pretty fun. Coding things to work in Google Docs saves hours of grading time. Or, sorry, Google Classroom, not Google Docs. Anyways, so those are what the teachers work with. And then at the end you have, other evidence, discussions, other papers. Here's another rubric just so you can kind of see more of a polished one a student would get. As you can see, students pretty dialed out. And I'm not the only teacher at our school that does this. Most of our teachers are moving this direction, using rubrics to grade these performance tasks. Yeah, and then learning plan. This is just day-to-day learning like teachers do. At the end, we normally have a faith integration, resources. So pretty simple, self-explanatory. But what we do is when we're done with all this, I've been working really hard the last year to make this curriculum map that's interactive. So I know it's a little small, but I will kind of go through it here. Here is the unit you just saw. We're in 7th grade English. I know it's coded red because we have these tabs down here. In 7th grade English, and what I can do is I can actually go down to Treasure Island UBD, and if I want to go to that unit from this document, I can just hover over, click on this, and it goes right there. And so the types of things we're tracking in our maps are the time, what performance task it does. Eventually, I may put some rubrics in this. Next year, I might start working on that. But maturity, the hero for Redwall, central questions, and the biblical integration. This is something we're starting to be more intentional of. As you can see, there's some holes right now, but this lets us know what units don't have it. So these are ones that I've done, but we can go down to English, like World Lit. This is one of our other professors. She's done a whole bunch of this stuff. Um, and then we do this for most all subjects. So languages, we have quite a few French UBD units. As you can see, we're working on some adding some things into it. Our science teacher, who's now our principal now, he's been working really hard. He actually has his biblical integration in some of these, so that's going to be on me to move this over here. It's biblical integration at our school doesn't necessarily have to be Bible verses specifically tied to a subject, but what biblical concepts, what biblical worldview things are we teaching? And so as you can see, this is a placeholder for a unit that we haven't completed yet in UBD format. It's probably being taught in UBD style, but it's just not formatted correctly. But once again, I can go to each one of these units and pull up, like here's a Origins of Life one right here. I can pull this up, and if I click on this, which we'll just click on it and see what happens, it'll take me to this UBD unit, and I can see everything that Mr. Furlan did in this unit. Pretty cool stuff. It's like I said, it's very interactive. Mr. Furlan uses GRASP quite well for creating performance tasks. Another acronym. I don't know if it's. I think it's created by Jay McTighe and Grant Wiggins, but yeah, for your goal, role, audience, performance standards, and I'm still learning. Still trying to be more intentional with that myself. It's a pretty cool way to create performance tasks though. And then he has his rubrics down here. I can click on it and I can see his rubrics down here as well. So I can go to that. It might not let me go because I'm not the only. Yeah, there's Mr. Furlan's science rubric. So yeah, that's what we've been working on for the last couple years at Three Rivers. It's been a lot of work. I store everything in a Google Drive, a curriculum drive, and I have all the high school units saved individually as well, not just in the map, so we can go back and forth. And like I said, I've shared this working document, social studies, you can see here, Washington State history. I've shared it with every teacher in the school. Only admin and a couple of us on the curriculum leadership team have access to edit it. That way, a lot of bad things don't happen to it. But yeah, I hope this helps. I hope this is, yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'll go back to that first slide. And then my computer's about ready to die. Like I said, things have been a little weird around here. But here's my email. Feel free to hit me up if you need to. Yeah. I'd love to answer any questions or dialogue with you or strategize and come up with ideas. No ideas are bad ideas, but they're maybe just not fleshed out all the way. So I hope you guys are having a great afternoon or morning, whatever your class is. And yeah, I hope to hear from some of you guys soon. Thank you.